The goal is just to get some baseline familiarity so we can hopefully go a little deeper, yeah? So this is super basic, but get to know your neighbor, yeah? Let's go.
Cool. My partner was Ben. He is from New Hampshire. He went to a small university in Michigan. He tried out for the basketball team there. And it's a small school. he didn't make it, but he started playing Ultimate. He went out to one of the practices he was as a captain, just like dunked on him all practice. And that's it. He didn't realize that was like part of the sport, that it's like a real sport. And so one of the reasons why he stuck with it. So I thought that was really cool.
Yes.
Hi everyone. My partner is Anna, and I am excited to be her partner because I'm an alum, but I went to Georgia Tech and she's at Georgia Tech now. And she's only been playing for 2.5 months, but she already made one of the observations that have stuck with me. I've been playing for 11 years. Is that she just loves the community. She came from a soccer background, and she already has acknowledged that like spirit circles, like there's no way that could happen in soccer. So like spirit of the game, she already gets the concept, and I love that.
Okay, here's the context. What would you do if you were there? What if I was your summer league captain? What if you were Pete? How would you feel? What would you want? Yeah? What might you say?
I would not want to put them on the spotlight, the person that said it. I wouldn't want to just like directly call them out, because I wouldn't want to like start any sort of like feud specifically. Like I wouldn't want to blow up the situation. Even though, some people might think that's the best way to approach it because we want people to think about this, we want this to be like dialogue. But I wouldn't want to blow it up. It's probably something that I would like defuse as peacefully as possible while letting them know that they said something stupid. And then afterwards, I'd probably, I'd talk to people about it, like people that were close with me, and I'd be like, yo, that was pretty whack. And I'd maybe talk to the captain and be like, that was super stupid. Like, what the hell? Yeah.
So I think one thing that I heard being said a lot is he probably didn't intend to be racist in any way, which is definitely true and give people the benefit of the doubt. But there is a big difference in intent and perception, which is I think really important. Kind of like what Jenny was saying. Even though you might not intend for something to be hurtful, if it does hurt the person, then you've done wrong in that situation. And just thinking that with people of color specifically, a lot of the time we have these types of stereotypes thrown at us all the time. So getting it said again or getting pushed to the side again, that's just reaffirming all of the experiences that people of color have had in the past. So then that thinking about that difference between the intent of what you're saying versus the way it's going to be perceived by that person.
If there are any people in here for whom your gender, or race, or sexual orientation, or class, or your ability, or whatever, has, in a particular way, in relation to Ultimate, it has affected the way you walk in a sport or interact with people, could you say so?
I didn't know Ultimate was a sport until college. I thought it was just something you did for fun in a park. And then when I got to college, I go to Georgia Tech, and I'm from New Jersey. I learned that there are I learned that there are 4 current high school Ultimate programs. And then hearing the programs, the towns where they're from, it's all towns that are wealthy, a lot of white people, just WASP towns. And I think before that, I never really thought of myself as coming from like a poor town by any means, like suburbia, you know, it's lit, but I think like after learning that those programs existed, and then also after, like I remember one memorable moment for me was meeting someone who's pretty prominent in the ultimate community. They're from the wealthy town next to me, and telling them I'm from my hometown. They said, "Ew," and I was like, "What? You're 22? Like at your age?" But yeah, and so like thinking about that, and thinking about how like income could have been like not only a barrier for me, but just a barrier for my whole town to Ultimate, and then thinking about towns next to me, and like in New Jersey, like Newark, Camden, like South Plainfield, these are all cities like within an hour from me or 20 minutes, and thinking about how those towns, like if my town isn't being exposed to Ultimate, like who's going to expose it to those places? And so I don't know, it's a thoughtful moment for me, and it makes me wish that like the other richer towns could share that wealth.
What is advocacy? Y'all kind of did it with the role play. Do you guys know what it is to be an advocate?
I think one thing that I think a lot about with how to be an advocate is like when we're talking about speaking up for people when they need to be spoken up or when it's our job to, but like when does it become speaking for someone else and being someone who just ends up being like just as oppressive in kind of a different way, in a way like how to speak up for people without speaking for them and still lifting up their voices. I don't know, that's...
If you're making a decision as to whether or not to stand up for someone, Proverbs 3:27 states that do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to do so. So if we have the power to do good and someone is deserving of it, then that should be an immediate reaction.
I wanted to add a little something about that. I think players of color, which you was describing, often internalize the isolation that they see physically, and so they feel that isolation, and so it's really hard to reach out because you're already internalizing this isolation within yourself. So I think what Gypsy says makes a lot of sense because if the community reaches out first and someone else is taking that first step, it makes it a lot easier for people who do feel isolated. Not only players of color, but all of the different things that we listed, across gender, socioeconomic status, marginalized populations.
Ow! She said, community you, community me, community. And am I right? Come on.